Olivia Mason stood at the window of her small apartment, watching raindrops race down the glass. The gray Seattle sky matched her mood. Tomorrow, her brother Jack would leave on a 6-month mission at sea, and a feeling of dread had settled in, her stomach that she couldn't shake away. The knock at her door came at exactly 6 o'clock. Jack was always on time. She opened the door to find him standing there in his Navy uniform, his duffel bag slung over his shoulder. "You didn't have to dress up just for me," Olivia said with a small smile. Jack shrugged. "Had a meeting with the captain earlier. Didn't bother changing." She hugged him tightly, breathing in the familiar scent of his aftershave mixed with the smell of fresh ironed cotton. At 25, Jack was only 3 years older than Olivia, but sometimes he seemed much older. The Navy had changed him. "Come in. I made your favorite pasta." Jack followed her inside. Her apartment was small but cozy, filled with books and plants. She had always been the one who made spaces feel like home. Jack, on the other hand, lived in a bare apartment near the naval base with almost no personal touches. They ate dinner, and Olivia noticed Jack was quieter than usual. He kept checking his phone and staring out the window. "Is everything okay with the mission?" she asked. "What?" "Yeah, of course." Jack put his phone down. "The USS Horizon is the most advanced research vessel in the fleet. We'll be fine." "Then, what's bothering you? And don't say nothing. I know your worried face." Jack pushed his pasta around his plate. "It's probably nothing, just some weird equipment readings during the test runs. The tech guys are working on it." "Weird how?" "Navigation issues, compass problems." He shook his head. "But that's not what I wanted to talk about. I came to ask you a favor." Jack reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small wooden box, about the size of a paperback book. The wood was dark and polished with a simple metal latch on the front. He placed it on the table between them. "I need you to keep this for me until I get back." Olivia picked up the box. It was heavier than it looked. "What's in it?" "Just some personal stuff. Important papers, nothing exciting." Jack wasn't meeting her eyes. "You have a safe deposit box at the bank for your important papers. Why give this to me now?" Jack ran a hand through his short brown hair, a habit from childhood that appeared whenever he was nervous. "Let's just say I've been working on something, a sort of side project. The box has my notes and some other things that might be important." "Jack, you're scaring me a little." He reached across the table and took her hand. "Don't be scared. It's just a precaution. I'll be back in 6 months and I'll probably laugh about how dramatic I'm being right now." He squeezed her hand. "Just promise me you'll keep it somewhere safe and don't open it unless—" "Unless what?" Jack let go of her hand and stood up. "Unless I don't come back?" Olivia felt her heart skip a beat. "Don't even joke about that." "I'm not joking, Liv. But I'm also not planning on disappearing." He walked to the window and looked out at the city lights. "The thing is, we're going to some pretty remote places. And there's a small chance we might find something unexpected." "What does that mean? What kind of research are you doing out there?" Jack turned back to her with a forced smile. "The boring kind. Ocean floor mapping, current studies. Nothing. That would make the news." Olivia knew her brother was lying. In the 3 years since he'd joined the Navy, he'd never been this secretive about a mission. "You know Mom and Dad are worried about you," she said, changing the subject. "They wish you would call more often." Jack nodded. "I'll try to send messages when I can. Ship-to-shore communications might be spotty where we're going." They spent the rest of the evening talking about safer topics. Olivia's job teaching high school English. Their parents' plan to finally renovate the kitchen in their childhood home. A funny story about Jack's roommate. But the wooden box sat on the coffee table between them like a third person in the room. When it was time for Jack to leave, they stood at her door. The rain had stopped, but the night air was cool and damp. "The ship leaves at 800 tomorrow," Jack said. "I have to be there 2 hours early." "I could come see you off," Olivia offered. Jack shook his head. "Better not. Security is tight and civilian goodbyes just make it harder." He hugged her tightly. Take care of yourself, Liv. You, too. Come back safe. Jack pulled away and looked at her with an expression she couldn't read. If anything strange happens, if you hear any weird rumors about the mission or the ship, don't believe everything they say. Remember the box. Before she could ask what he meant, he was walking down the hallway toward the stairs. Olivia watched until he disappeared from sight. Back inside her apartment, she picked up the wooden box. She ran her fingers over the smooth surface, feeling a strong urge to open it despite her promise. Instead, she placed it on the top shelf of her closet, behind some old photo albums. That night, Olivia dreamed of a ship sailing into a thick bank of fog that swallowed it whole. The next morning, she woke early and turned on the local news. There was a brief segment about the USS Horizon setting sail, a 30-second clip showing the massive research vessel pulling away from the dock. The reporter mentioned the ship's mission to study deep ocean currents and map unexplored sections of the Pacific seafloor. Nothing about navigation problems or anything unexpected. Olivia watched carefully, hoping for a glimpse of Jack among the sailors on deck. She thought she saw him near the rail, a tall figure in a dark uniform, but the camera moved away too quickly to be sure. Be safe, she whispered to the image of the ship as it faded from her TV screen. For the next 3 weeks, life went on normally. Olivia taught her classes, graded papers, met friends for coffee. She called her parents every Sunday as usual. No one mentioned the wooden box, and slowly, her worry about Jack's strange behavior began to fade. Then, on a Tuesday morning in April, Olivia was eating breakfast and scrolling through news on her phone when she saw the headline, Navy Research Vessel Missing in Pacific. Her coffee mug slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. With shaking fingers, she tapped on the article and read the few available details. The USS Horizon had missed its scheduled check-in 3 days ago. No distress signals had been received. The ship's last known position was approximately 1,500 miles southwest of Hawaii. A search operation was underway. Olivia called her parents immediately. They had already heard the news and were trying to get more information from Jack's commanding officer. No one could tell them anything useful, just that the ship was missing, communication systems might be down, and the Navy was doing everything possible to locate the vessel. Days turned into weeks. The search area expanded. Aircraft carriers, submarines, and reconnaissance planes combed thousands of square miles of ocean. Satellite imagery was analyzed. Nothing was found. No debris, no oil slick, no life rafts, no signs of the ship or its 37 crew members. Olivia took a leave of absence from her teaching job. She moved back to her parents' house temporarily to support them and to be closer to the naval base, where information was being shared with families. Every day, they attended briefings that offered less and less hope. After 45 days, the search was scaled back. After 60 days, it was called off entirely. The official statement from the Navy cited unknown catastrophic event as the most likely cause of the ship's disappearance. Olivia remembered the wooden box. Late one night, she drove back to her apartment and retrieved it from her closet. She sat on her bed, turning it over in her hands, remembering Jack's words, "Don't open it unless I don't come back." Her hand hovered over the latch. Was Jack really not coming back? Or was this just a temporary mystery that would be solved any day now? In the end, she couldn't bring herself to open it. Not yet. Because opening the box meant accepting that Jack was gone, and she wasn't ready to do that. Instead, she placed it in her backpack and returned to her parents' house, carrying her brother's secret with her. What Olivia didn't know then was that this was just the beginning. The mystery of the USS Horizon and her brother's disappearance would consume the next decade of her life, and the answers, when they finally came, would be more unbelievable than anything she could have imagined. 6 months after the USS Horizon vanished, the Navy officially declared the ship and all hands lost at sea. They held a memorial service at the naval base in Seattle. 37 empty chairs sat in rows, each with a framed photo, a folded flag, and a white rose. Olivia sat in the front row between her parents, staring at Jack's empty chair. "He's not dead," she whispered to her mother. "I can feel it." Susan Mason squeezed her daughter's hand but said nothing. The dark circles under her eyes told of sleepless nights and endless tears. Beside them, Alan Mason sat rigid in his dress suit, his face a mask of controlled grief. After the service, a Navy captain approached the family. His name was Peter Grant, and he had been Jack's commanding officer before the Horizon mission. "Mrs. Mason, Mr. Mason, Miss Mason," he said, shaking their hands. "I just wanted to say how deeply sorry I am for your loss. Jack was one of our finest officers." "Have they found anything new?" Olivia asked. "Any clue at all?" Captain Grant shook his head. "I'm afraid not. The Pacific is vast, and the area where they were last known to be is one of the deepest parts of the ocean." "What exactly were they researching out there?" Olivia pressed. Jack mentioned navigation problems before he left. The captain's expression changed slightly. "Standard oceanographic research, nothing unusual." He cleared his throat. "If you'll excuse me, I need to speak with the other families." As he walked away, Olivia knew he was hiding something. The wooden box hidden in her apartment seemed to call to her. That night, after her parents went to bed, she drove back to her place. She hadn't been there in months. The air inside was stale. A fine layer of dust covered everything. Olivia took the box from her backpack and sat at her kitchen table. Her hands trembled as she lifted the latch. Inside, she found a small notebook filled with Jack's neat handwriting, a USB drive, a folded map with strange markings, and a key she didn't recognize. The notebook contained what looked like coordinates, mathematical equations, and short notes that made little sense to her. Magnetic anomaly growing stronger. Ship's compass off by 15 degrees. Radio signals bounce back with 3-second delay, not normal echo. Phelps thinks it's a gateway, need more evidence. On the last page, Jack had written, "If you're reading this, Liv, I'm probably in trouble. Don't trust the official story. Find Dr. Nathan Phelps. He knows." Olivia plugged the USB drive into her laptop. It contained dozens of files with strange names, but they were all encrypted. She needed a password to open them. The map showed a section of the Pacific Ocean with a circle drawn around an area, thousands of miles from where the Navy claimed the Horizon had disappeared. Inside the circle, Jack had written, "The doorway?" The key was small and old-fashioned, like it might open a padlock or a small cabinet. There was no clue about what it was for. Olivia spent the rest of the night searching online for Dr. Nathan Phelps. She found several men with that name, but only one connected to oceanography, a former Navy scientist who now taught at the University of Washington. She sent him an email requesting a meeting, saying only that it concerned her brother Jack, Mason in the USS Horizon. For the next week, Olivia waited for a reply. None came. She drove to the university and asked about Dr. Phelps at his department. The secretary told her he was on indefinite leave. When Olivia asked for his home address, the woman refused to give it. "Are you a student?" the secretary asked, with suspicion. "No, I need to talk to him about my brother. He was on the USS Horizon." The secretary's expression softened. "I'm sorry about your brother, but Dr. Phelps isn't seeing anyone. He had some kind of breakdown after that ship disappeared. He blamed himself, though nobody knows why. He's become quite the recluse." Olivia left her contact information but didn't expect to hear anything. She was right. 2 weeks later, she was at her parents' house for Sunday dinner when her phone rang. The number was blocked. "Is this Olivia Mason?" a man's voice asked when she answered. "Yes." "Who's this?" "You've been looking for me. Meet me tomorrow at noon. Fisherman's Wharf Cafe. Come alone." The line went dead. The next day, Olivia arrived at the cafe 20 minutes early. She chose a table with a view of the entrance and ordered coffee. At exactly noon, an older man with a gray beard and worn fishing clothes walked in. He scanned the room, then headed straight for her table. "Miss Mason?" he asked, sitting down without waiting for an invitation. "Dr. Phelps?" He nodded but didn't smile. "I'm taking a risk meeting you. What do you want?" "My brother Jack." "I know who your brother is," he cut her off. "The question is, What did he tell you? Olivia hesitated, then decided to be direct. He left me a box before he sailed. Inside was a notebook with your name in it, a map, a USB drive I can't access, and a key. Phelps's eyes widened slightly. You have the key? Yes. What does it open? The man looked around nervously, then leaned closer. Not here, we can't talk here. He scribbled an address on a napkin. Come to this place tonight at 8. Bring everything your brother left you. He stood up abruptly and left before she could ask anything else. That evening, Olivia drove to the address. It was a small house on the outskirts of the city, surrounded by tall trees. The yard was overgrown and the house needed paint. She parked in the driveway and walked to the front door, clutching her bag with Jack's box inside. Dr. Phelps opened the door before she could knock. He looked different now, cleaner, more put together in khaki pants and a button-down shirt. He ushered her inside quickly. The living room was crammed with books, papers, and electronic equipment. Maps covered one entire wall. On another wall hung photos of the USS Horizon and its crew. Jack was in one of them, standing next to Phelps, both smiling. You worked with my brother, Olivia said, pointing to the photo. Yes. We were friends too. Phelps cleared some papers from a chair. Please sit. Show me what you brought. Olivia took out the box and handed him the notebook first. He flipped through it, nodding occasionally. Jack was smart. Very smart. He noticed things others missed. Phelps looked up at her. Did the Navy tell you what really happened? They said the ship was lost at sea. Some kind of accident. Phelps laughed bitterly. An accident, that's one way to put it. He handed back the notebook. Let me see the map. Olivia gave it to him. He spread it out on a table and compared it to a larger map on the wall. He got the location right, Phelps muttered. Exactly right. What location? What was the Horizon really doing out there? Phelps sat down heavily in a chair across from her. The official mission was oceanographic research. The real mission was to investigate an anomaly we detected in that region. Something that defied explanation. What kind of anomaly? A place where the laws of physics seem to bend, where compass needles spin in circles and radio waves bounce back from nowhere. He rubbed his tired eyes. We called it the doorway. Doorway to what? We don't know. That's what the mission was supposed to find out. Phelps looked at her intently. Now, may I see the key? Olivia handed it to him. He turned it over in his fingers, then walked to a bookshelf and pulled out a small metal box. The key fit perfectly. Inside was a small device that looked like a handheld GPS unit. Jack made a copy. Phelps whispered. Smart boy. A copy of what? What is that thing? It's a specialized compass designed to work near the anomaly. Normal compasses fail there. He turned it on and the screen lit up with numbers and a pulsing dot. And it's picking up a signal. From the horizon? Olivia asked, her heart racing. No, from the other side of the doorway. Phelps looked at her with a mix of fear and excitement. Your brother may not be dead, Miss Mason. He might be somewhere else entirely. Olivia felt dizzy. I don't understand. Neither do we. That's the point. Phelps carefully put the device back in its box. What we do know is that 3 months ago, a fishing boat reported seeing lights in the sky at the exact coordinates your brother marked on this map. Lights that moved in impossible ways before disappearing into the ocean. What are you saying, that aliens took my brother? I'm saying the universe is stranger than we know, and your brother and the Horizon may have found a door to somewhere else. Phelps handed her the USB drive. The password is Event Horizon 1997. Your brother loved that old movie. Will this tell me how to find him? Phelps shook his head. I don't know. But I do know people are watching me. Watching you too. Probably. Be careful, Miss Mason. Some doors once opened can't be closed again. As Olivia left Dr. Phelps's house that night, she felt both hope and fear. Her brother might be alive, but lost in some place beyond understanding. And now she had to decide. Would she continue searching for answers, knowing the danger? Or would she do what everyone told her to do, accept Jack's death and move on? The answer was obvious. Jack would never stop looking for her, and she wouldn't stop looking for him, no matter what strange doorway she had to walk through to find him. Olivia sat in her apartment staring at her laptop screen. The files from Jack's USB drive were now open, revealing hundreds of photos, videos, and documents. She had been going through them for 3 days straight, sleeping only when her eyes refused to stay open. Most of the files were scientific reports filled with terms she didn't understand. There were sonar readings, magnetic field measurements, and endless data tables. But mixed in with the science were Jack's personal notes and video logs. She clicked on a video file dated 1 week before the horizon disappeared. Jack's face filled the screen. He looked tired, with dark circles under his eyes. "Log entry 42, he said. "We're getting closer to the anomaly. The instruments are going crazy. Compass readings change every few minutes. The water temperature drops suddenly, then rises again for no reason. Some of the crew are getting nervous, but Captain Lawson is pushing forward." Jack ran a hand through his hair, that nervous habit Olivia knew so well. "Phelps was right about this place. It's like nothing we've ever seen. Yesterday we sent down an unmanned submersible to take readings. The video feed showed something that looked like, I don't know how to describe it, like the water was folding in on itself, creating a tunnel of some kind. The sub got too close and lost power. We had to pull it back up manually." He leaned closer to the camera and lowered his voice. "I think the captain knows more than he's telling us. I overheard him talking to someone on a secure line. He said, 'We've found it,' just like the models predicted." "What models? What exactly were we sent to find?" The video ended. Olivia quickly opened the next one, dated 3 days later. Log entry 45. "Things are getting stranger. Last night, everyone on the ship reported the same dream, walking through endless corridors that kept changing direction. The ship's psychologist says it's just stress, but I'm not so sure." Jack looked around as if making sure no one could hear him. "I've been doing some research on my own. There are records of ships and planes disappearing in this general area, going back decades. Not as many as in the Bermuda Triangle, so it never got the same attention. But the pattern is similar. Vessels vanish without distress calls. No debris ever found." He held up a printed photo of an old newspaper clipping. The headline read, "Fishing boat returns after being missing 3 months. Crew claims only 3 days passed." "The weird thing is," Jack continued, "the crew of this boat from 1978 described seeing a light in the water before everything went dark. Then they woke up somewhere else. Same ocean, but somehow different. The Navy dismissed it as mass hallucination, but what if it wasn't? What if they passed through something and came back?" The video cut off abruptly. Olivia tried the next file, but it was corrupted. She moved to the last video log, dated the day before the Horizon's final communication. Jack looked scared now. "I don't have much time. We're less than 24 hours from the center of the anomaly. The captain has ordered all personal communications cut off, says it's to prevent signal interference, but I think he doesn't want anyone telling the outside world what we're seeing." He leaned in close. "Liv, if you're watching this, something went wrong. The doorway is real. It's not just a scientific curiosity, it's a passage to somewhere else. Phelps thinks it might be another dimension, or maybe a wormhole to another part of our universe. Whatever it is, it's not natural. The readings suggest it's growing larger. And there's something else. Sometimes when we scan the area at night, we pick up faint radio signals. They sound almost like voices, but not in any language anyone recognizes." A loud knock sounded in the background. Jack looked over his shoulder. "I have to go. Remember the coordinates in my notebook. If I don't come back, don't let them cover this up. Find a way to—" The video cut off. Olivia sat back, her mind racing. This was bigger than she had imagined. Not just a missing ship, but something that defied explanation. She called Dr. Phelps, but there was no answer. She tried again the next day and the day after that. Still nothing. On the 4th day, she drove to his house. It was empty. Neighbors said he had left in a hurry 3 days ago. No one knew where he had gone. Olivia felt a chill run down her spine. Was Phelps running from something? Or someone? She went back to the files and found the coordinates from Jack's notebook. Using online maps, she located the exact spot in the Pacific. It was in an area known as the Western Pacific Warm Pool, thousands of miles from where the Navy claimed the Horizon had disappeared. Olivia knew what she had to do. She needed to go there. But how? She was a high school English teacher with limited savings. Chartering a boat to such a remote location would cost a fortune. She was still pondering this problem when her phone rang. It was a blocked number. "Miss Mason? Don't say my name. Don't say anything. Just listen." It was Phelps, his voice low and urgent. "They came to my house. Men in black SUVs. I barely got out in time." "Who?" "I said don't talk," Phelps hissed. "Your phone might be tapped. Meet me at the old fishing pier in Tacoma. Tomorrow, noon. Come alone and make sure you're not followed." The line went dead. The next day, Olivia arrived at the pier an hour early. She parked her car several blocks away and walked the rest of the distance, constantly checking to see if anyone was following her. The pier was mostly empty, just a few people fishing in the morning sun. At exactly noon, a small motorboat approached the pier. Phelps was at the wheel. He waved her over. "Get in," he said when she reached him. "Quickly." Olivia climbed into the boat and Phelps immediately steered away from the pier. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Somewhere we can talk safely." Phelps kept his eyes on the water ahead. "I have friends who believe my theories about the doorway. One of them owns a boat, a research vessel capable of making the journey to the coordinates. You're going there? To where the Horizon disappeared?" Phelps nodded. "We leave in 3 days. I want you to come with us." "Me? Why?" "Because of what your brother found." Phelps finally looked at her. "Those video logs you watched? I helped Jack set up that secure drive. I know what's on it. What you don't know is that Jack sent me data right up until the final moments before they disappeared." "What kind of data?" "Evidence that the doorway isn't just a natural phenomenon. It's controlled." "By what?" "That's what we need to find out." Phelps steered the boat into a small, secluded cove where a larger vessel was anchored. "That's the Aurora, our ride to the doorway." The Aurora was about 60 feet long, with sophisticated equipment visible on its deck. As they approached, Olivia saw people moving around on board. "Who are they?" she asked. "Scientists, mostly. People who worked on the original research but were cut from the Horizon mission when the military took over. They've been watching the anomaly from afar, gathering data. Now they want to get closer." "Is that safe? After what happened to the Horizon?" Phelps gave her a grim smile. "No. It's probably a terrible idea. But if there's any chance your brother and the others are still alive somewhere, don't you want to know?" Olivia thought about Jack's face in those videos, the fear in his eyes when he mentioned the doorway, the determination to uncover the truth no matter the cost. "When do we leave?" she asked. "Like I said, 3 days. Just enough time to get supplies and make final preparations." Phelps guided the boat alongside the Aurora. "But I need to know. You understand the risks. We might find answers or we might disappear just like they did." Olivia looked up at the research vessel. This was madness. She was a teacher, not an explorer or a scientist. She should go home, call the police, report everything she had learned. But then she thought of Jack's empty chair at the memorial service, the folded flag her parents kept in a glass case, the years of not knowing. "I understand the risks," she said, "but I need to know what happened to my brother." 3 days later, as the Aurora sailed out of Seattle Harbor under the cover of early morning fog, Olivia stood on the deck watching the city disappear. 8 people were on board: Phelps, 4 scientists, 2 experienced sailors, and herself. They had enough supplies for a month at sea. The journey to the coordinates would take 2 weeks. 2 weeks to prepare for whatever they might find at the mysterious doorway. 2 weeks to wonder if she would ever return. As the last lights of the city faded into the mist, Olivia touched the small compass hanging around her neck, the one Phelps had found in the metal box. It was their guide to the anomaly. Their best hope of finding the truth. "I'm coming, Jack," she whispered into the wind. "Hold on, I'm coming." The Aurora had been at sea for 12 days. Olivia stood on the deck, watching the endless blue water stretch to the horizon. The air was warm, the sky clear. Nothing about this beautiful expanse of ocean suggested anything strange or dangerous lurked beneath its surface. "We're getting close," Dr. Phelps said, joining her at the rail. "Maybe 2 days out from the coordinates if the weather holds." Olivia nodded. She had grown to like the small crew during their journey. Besides Phelps, there was Maria Chen, an oceanographer, Ben Harris, a physicist, Kevin Dunn, an expert in radio communications, and Lisa Wright, a meteorologist. The two sailors, brothers named Frank and Joe Bailey, kept the Aurora running smoothly. "Have you noticed anything unusual yet?" Olivia asked. "With the instruments, I mean." Phelps shook his head. "Not yet, but we will. The effects start gradually. Small compass variations, minor temperature fluctuations. The closer we get to the center, the stronger the anomalies become." "I've been thinking about Jack's videos," Olivia said. "He mentioned dreams, everyone having the same dream." "Yes, that was unexpected. Not part of our original research." Phelps looked troubled. "The human mind is sensitive to certain types of electromagnetic fields. Perhaps whatever causes the doorway affects brain activity as well. Will we have these dreams too? Possibly. That's why everyone is keeping a dream journal. We want to document everything." Phelps checked his watch. "The team meeting starts in 5 minutes. We should go below." In the ship's main cabin, the scientists had gathered around a large table covered with maps, charts, and laptop computers. Maria was showing something on her tablet to Kevin and Lisa. "Ah, good, you're here," Ben said as Olivia and Phelps entered. "We were just discussing our approach strategy." "Any changes to the plan?" Phelps asked, taking a seat. "I think we should slow down sooner," Maria said. "The horizon went in too fast. They didn't have time to fully analyze what they were seeing before they were in the middle of it." "Agreed," said Kevin. "I've been reviewing the radio communications from the horizon's last day. There's something in the background of their transmissions, a kind of pulse or rhythm that gets stronger in each message." "Can you isolate it?" Phelps asked. Kevin shook his head. "Not completely, but it's not random noise. It has a pattern." "A signal of some kind?" Olivia suggested. "Maybe." Kevin looked at her with new respect. "That's what I've been thinking. Something was trying to communicate. Or interfere with their communications," Lisa added. "We should be prepared for our systems to fail. The horizon lost contact suddenly. The same could happen to us." "That's why we have backup systems," Ben reminded them. "And emergency protocols if we need to leave quickly." They spent the next hour going over those protocols again. Each person had specific responsibilities if things went wrong. Olivia's job was to monitor the special compass from Jack's box. It was now connected to one of the computers. Its readings tracked alongside the ship's regular navigation systems. That night, Olivia had trouble sleeping. The gentle rocking of the ship usually lulled her to sleep, but tonight she felt restless. When she finally dozed off, she dreamed of corridors. Long white corridors that seemed to stretch forever. She was walking, searching for something. Someone was calling her name from far away. "Olivia. Olivia." She woke with a start. The ship was quiet. The small clock by her bunk showed 3:17 a.m. She grabbed her journal and quickly wrote down the details of her dream before they faded. At breakfast, she discovered she wasn't the only one who had dreamed of corridors. "Mine were metal," Kevin said, stirring his coffee, "like the inside of a submarine or a space station." "Mine were white," Lisa added, "very clean and bright." "Same here," Olivia said. "White corridors that kept going and going." Phelps looked deeply concerned. "It's starting. We're getting closer to the anomaly than I thought. The effects shouldn't be noticeable yet." "Maybe it's grown," Ben suggested. "Expanded since your last readings." "If so, we need to be extremely careful," Phelps said. "Everyone should stay alert and report anything unusual, no matter how small." Later that morning, the first instrument anomalies appeared. The ship's compass began to fluctuate, showing them heading west when they were actually moving north. The water temperature dropped 5 degrees in less than an hour, then rose again just as quickly. By afternoon, radio communications were becoming spotty. Their satellite phone worked only intermittently. The weather remained perfect, too perfect, Lisa pointed out. Not a cloud in the sky, not a ripple on the water beyond their wake. "It's like we're in a bubble," she said. "I've never seen the open ocean this calm for so long." As night fell, they gathered in the cabin again. The mood was tense. Nobody mentioned it, but Olivia knew they were all thinking the same thing. Would they wake up tomorrow still in their world or somewhere else entirely? "We should take shifts tonight," Phelps decided. 2 people awake at all times, monitoring the instruments. Olivia volunteered for the midnight to 2 a.m. shift with Maria. When the time came, they sat in the small control room, watching screens and dials in silence. "May I ask you something?" Maria said after a while. "Why did you come on this trip? The rest of us are scientists. We've studied this phenomenon for years. But you're risking your life for answers that might not even exist." Olivia touched the small photo of Jack she kept in her pocket. "My brother would have done the same for me. And if there's even a tiny chance he's alive somewhere, I need to know." Maria nodded. "Family is a powerful thing." She glanced at the instruments. "That's odd." "What is it?" "The depth finder. It's showing the ocean floor at 18,000 feet, which is correct. But there's something else." She pointed to a blip on the screen. "Something large about 1,000 feet below us. A whale, too big, and not moving like a living creature." Maria adjusted some settings. "It's almost as if—" She stopped suddenly. "What? What is it?" "It's gone now. But for a moment I could have sworn it was a ship." A chill ran down Olivia's spine. "The horizon?" "I don't know. Let me try to—" Maria was interrupted by a loud beeping from Jack's compass. The needle was spinning wildly. "Get Phelps," Maria said urgently. "Now." Olivia ran to wake the others. Within minutes, everyone was in the control room. Outside, the peaceful night had changed. The stars were blurry, as if seen through water. The air felt thick and hard to breathe. "We've found it," Phelps said, staring at the readings. "The doorway is active, and we're right on the edge of it." "Should we pull back?" Frank asked, his hand already on the throttle controls. "No," Phelps said. "Not yet. Let's hold position and gather data. But be ready to move quickly if I give the order." For the next hour, they recorded everything their instruments could detect. The anomaly was unlike anything they had expected. Not a fixed point, but a shifting area of disturbance in the fabric of space itself. Then, just as dawn was breaking, Lisa spotted something in the water about half a mile from the ship. "There's something floating out there," she said, pointing. Ben grabbed binoculars. "It looks like debris of some kind. Maybe part of a boat?" Frank turned the Aurora toward the floating object. As they got closer, Olivia's heart began to race. It was white with blue trim. It looked like a lifeboat. When they pulled alongside, there was no doubt. Faded but still visible on the side were the letters USS Whore. The rest of the name had worn away, but Olivia knew what it had once said. USS Horizon. The lifeboat was empty except for a waterproof case bolted to one of the seats. Inside the case was a logbook, its pages filled with handwriting Olivia recognized immediately. It was Jack's writing. With trembling hands, she opened the book and began to read the last entry, dated 2 days after the Horizon had officially disappeared. The ship is gone, most of the crew with it. I don't know where we are, but it isn't home. The stars are wrong. The ocean looks the same, but it isn't. Something brought us here. Something is watching us. If anyone finds this, the coordinates to the doorway are... The rest of the page was stained and unreadable. Olivia turned to the next page, but it was blank. She looked up at Phelps, tears in her eyes. He was alive. at least for a while after they disappeared. Phelps nodded grimly. Yes, and now we know for certain. The doorway doesn't just make things vanish, it sends them somewhere else. But where? Olivia asked. And is there any way back? Before Phelps could answer, all the lights on the Aurora flickered. The engines made a strange whining sound, then went silent. Around them, the calm water began to swirl, slowly at first, then faster. It's happening, Kevin shouted over the sudden wind that had appeared from nowhere. The doorway is opening. Olivia clutched Jack's logbook to her chest and watched as the morning sky darkened to a deep purple. The water beneath the ship no longer looked like water at all, but something shifting and impossible, a liquid tunnel spiraling downward. We need to leave now, Frank yelled, frantically trying to restart the engines, but it was too late. The Aurora was being pulled into the center of the swirling vortex. The last thing Olivia saw before everything went black was a brilliant flash of light and what looked like another ship in the distance, a familiar silhouette that made her heart stop. It was the USS Horizon. Olivia opened her eyes to brightness. Her head throbbed. The air felt strange in her lungs, thinner somehow, yet easier to breathe. She was lying on the deck of the Aurora, which seemed undamaged. Around her, the crew was stirring, groaning as they regained consciousness. Is everyone all right? Phelps called out, his voice echoing oddly. Slowly, they all checked in. No one was hurt, just disoriented. Olivia stood up on shaky legs and looked around. What she saw made her gasp. They were still on the ocean, but it wasn't the same ocean they had left behind. The water was a deeper blue, almost purple in the shadows. The sky above was pale pink, though it seemed to be daytime. Most shocking of all were the two moons visible on the horizon, one large and white, the other smaller and with a golden tinge. Where are we? She whispered. Not where, Phelps said, standing beside her. When? Or maybe both. We've passed through the doorway. The instruments on the ship were giving strange readings. The compass spun in slow circles. The depth finder showed water beneath them, then nothing, then water again. Their GPS couldn't find any satellites. The engines are working, Frank reported, after checking the systems. But I have no idea which direction to go. There, Kevin said suddenly, pointing to the east. Look at the water. About a mile away, the ocean seemed to rise up in a gentle slope as if flowing uphill. Something impossible in their world. At the top of this strange hill was what looked like a ship. The horizon, Olivia breathed. It has to be. Using binoculars, they confirmed it was indeed a naval research vessel matching the horizon's description. It appeared to be intact, sitting in a pool of calm water at the top of the impossible hill. How do we get to it? Maria asked. We can't sail uphill. We don't have to, Ben said, studying the water with scientific interest. Look at the pattern. The water is flowing in a circuit. If we position ourselves correctly, it should carry us up. It took careful maneuvering, but Frank and Joe managed to guide the Aurora into what seemed to be a current. Soon, they were moving, without using the engines, carried along by water that flowed against the laws of gravity. As they approached the top of the water hill, Olivia could see the horizon more clearly. It was perfectly preserved, as if it had been there for days rather than years. No rust, no damage, but she saw no sign of people on deck. Be careful, Phelps warned as they drew alongside the larger vessel. We don't know what we're dealing with here. Olivia, Phelps, Ben, and Maria boarded the Horizon while the others stayed with the Aurora. The ship was eerily quiet. Everything was in perfect order, equipment in place, no signs of struggle or panic. It was as if the crew had simply stepped away for a moment. They split up to search different areas. Olivia headed for the bridge, hoping to find ship's logs or other records. What she found instead was far more startling. The bridge was empty except for a single figure standing by the window, looking out at the strange pink sky. A man in a naval uniform with short brown hair. Even from behind, she knew immediately who it was. Jack, she said, her voice barely a whisper. He turned slowly. It was indeed her brother, looking exactly as he had 10 years ago. Not a day older. His eyes widened in shock. "Olivia, is that really you?" His voice was hoarse, as if from disuse. She ran to him, embracing him tightly. He felt solid, real, warm with life. Not a ghost or a hallucination. How did you find me?" Jack asked, pulling back to look at her. "And why do you look so different? It's only been a few weeks." "Jack, it's been 10 years, Olivia said gently. "You disappeared a decade ago." He shook his head in disbelief. "That's not possible. We've only been here for about a month." "Where is everyone else? The rest of the crew?" Jack's expression darkened. "Gone, taken, one by one." "Taken? By what?" Before he could answer, Phelps appeared in the doorway. When he saw Jack, he froze. "Mason? Is that really you? Dr. Phelps?" Jack looked even more confused. "You weren't on the mission. How are you here?" "It's a long story," Phelps said. "But right now we need to understand what happened to you in the horizon. Where is Captain Lawson, the rest of the crew?" Jack led them to the ship's mess hall, where he had created a makeshift living space. Maps and notes covered one wall, along with a calendar where he had been marking days. "It started when we reached the coordinates," Jack explained. "Everything went dark. When we woke up, we were here, wherever here is. The ship was fine, all systems working except communications and navigation. We could see we weren't in our world anymore." He gestured at the pink sky visible through a porthole. The captain organized search parties to explore the area. We found other ships, old sailing vessels, modern yachts, even what looked like an ancient Greek trireme. All empty, all perfectly preserved. "Other ships that came through the doorway," Phelps murmured. "Over centuries." Jack nodded. "That's what we figured. But then people started disappearing. First it was just one or two crew members who wandered off alone. Then more. We'd search, but never find them. No bodies, no signs of struggle. They were just gone." "Did you see anything?" Maria asked. "Any indication of what took them?" "Not directly, but sometimes at night we'd see lights moving under the water, and we'd hear sounds like singing, but not in any human language." Jack swallowed hard. "Captain Lawson believes something intelligent lives here, something that collects things from our world. Including people," Ben said quietly. "Eventually it was just me and two others, Officer Rivera and Dr. Foster. We stayed on the ship thinking it was safer. Then one morning, they were gone too." Jack looked at Olivia. "That was about a week ago. I've been alone since then." "But why weren't you taken?" Olivia asked. Jack pulled out a small device from his pocket, identical to the special compass they had brought with them. "This. Phelps gave it to me before the mission. It emits a low-frequency pulse that seems to interfere with whatever lives here. I think it's been protecting me." "We have one too," Phelps said. "That's how we found this place." A loud boom shook the ship. They rushed to the window. In the distance, where the Aurora was docked, a column of bright light had appeared, connecting the water to the sky. "No," Jack said, his face pale. "It's happening again. Your crew. They're being taken." They ran back to the Aurora, but by the time they arrived, the light was gone. So were Kevin, Lisa, Frank, and Joe. The ship was empty, perfectly intact, with no signs of struggle. "We need to leave," Phelps said urgently. "Now, before whatever it is comes back for us." "Leave? How?" Olivia asked. "We don't even know where we are." "The doorway works both ways," Jack explained. "I've been studying it. It seems to open and close in cycles, and according to my calculations, it should be opening again very soon, maybe within hours." "But what about the others?" Maria asked. "We can't just abandon them." "We don't even know where they are," Ben pointed out, "or if they're still—" He didn't finish the sentence. Jack looked at Olivia, his expression torn. I've been trying to find my crew for a month with no success. Whatever takes people here doesn't give them back. The decision was painful but necessary. They would try to escape while they could. Jack gathered his research and the few belongings he wanted to take. They chose to use the Aurora for their escape attempt, as it was smaller and would be easier to maneuver. As they prepared to leave, the water around them began to move strangely. The hill they had climbed was flattening, the current growing stronger. "It's starting," Jack said. "The doorway is opening." In the distance, a swirling began like a whirlpool in reverse. The water rose up in a spiral connecting to a similar spiral in the pink sky. Between them was darkness. "That's our way home," Phelps said. Jack took the helm of the Aurora. "It won't be easy. The current will fight us. And," he hesitated, "there might be other forces trying to stop us." As if on cue, lights appeared beneath the water, dozens of them moving quickly toward the ship. With them came a haunting sound like distant voices calling. "Go now," Phelps shouted. Jack started the engines at full power. The Aurora surged forward, fighting against currents that seemed to pull them away from the spiral. The lights under, the water drew closer. Tentacle-like shapes began to emerge, reaching for the hull. "They've never shown themselves before," Jack said, his knuckles white on the wheel. "They must really not want us to leave." Olivia stood beside her brother, watching the swirling doorway grow closer. Behind them, something huge was rising from the depths. Something with many lights and a shape that hurt the eyes to look at. Directly. The Aurora shuddered as something grabbed the hull. The engines strained. For a terrible moment, Olivia thought they would be pulled back. Then Phelps and Ben threw both special compasses overboard. The devices hit the water with a splash. Immediately, the lights beneath them scattered, the tentacles, retreating as if in pain. "Now!" Jack shouted, pushing the engines beyond their limits. The Aurora shot forward into the swirling darkness of the doorway. Everything went black. Olivia felt the same sensation as before, of falling and flying, at the same time. She clutched Jack's arm, determined not to lose him again. When light returned, they were back on the familiar blue ocean under an ordinary blue sky. The sun was setting. A normal Earth sunset with no extra moons. Their instruments sprang back. To life, GPS finding satellites, compass pointing steadily north. They had made it home. All 5 of them, Olivia, Jack, Phelps,